We've seen a fairly buoyant start to the week after the last couple of weeks of just gradually drifting lower in the FTSE 100. Over the past week we've seen obviously the continuing worries and issues around the Syria conflict. We saw the government vote not being passed in UK Parliament last week. This week we've actually got France having a further meeting on Wednesday, and then the US Congress looking to vote, I believe it is on the 9th of September. So it doesn't look as if any action is going to be taking place in the immediate future, but I'm probably looking forward to next week now. So the FTSE, as I say, is up 80 this morning, just hovering back above the 6,500 level as we speak. Moving on to the corporate side of things, the big news from last week was Vodafone, as I'm sure you've read in numerous papers over the weekend. So we had Verizon Communications, which is the US entity, looking to come in and buy the 45% stake in Verizon Wireless Communications. Verizon Wireless. The talked about level was $130 billion. The news first broke kind of midway through last week and was speculated in the press at the weekend. Vodafone actually came out this morning and confirmed they were in advanced discussions. It may, of course, not lead to a bid as always, but at the moment the shares in Vodafone have spiked up to just below the £2.15 level. Just looking across the kind of analyst expectations in terms of what this deal could do to the share price, they range really between 2.25 and 2.50 pence per share. So it looks as though if something does go through there, hopefully we may see something later today, then there could be a further material uplift in the share price there. So definitely one to watch for the coming week. Just on other stocks that we're covering at the moment, Circo had a bit of poor news last week. They'd been having issues with misrepresenting of reports, essentially fraud within some of their contracts. They'd basically been overestimating the number of successful delivery of prisoners from the Ministry of Justice contract. They came out with a statement, I think it was on Thursday of last week. The shares sold off around about 11%, as you can see here. They've had a bit of a torrid time of late, really coming back from the £6.80 level to where they rest this morning at around 5.40. The outcome of this misrepresentation, this fraud case, is that they're basically going to be having to repay the profits on the contract. It's estimated that totals around about the £2 million mark, so it's not necessarily the financial implications, but it's more just the lack of trust and the just nervousness towards the organisation going forwards. Other news that's come out this morning, we've seen Talib Oil come out with a drilling report. This is based in Mozambique. They've obviously had poor form recently with the Guyana Maritime Exploration Licence in French Guiana. After the initial success with Zaidis, which was expected to potentially be the next Jubilee type field, they really haven't had a great run of luck. As you can see, the share price really since the end of 2012 has been in a bit of a kind of one-way move. We do still like the shares here internally, so definitely one to speak to your broker about and just get their kind of current updated thoughts on it. Hopefully, going forward they'll have more success in the coming drilling campaigns. Continuing on with the Syria theme, there's been there had been a spike in oil really until the end of last week. We saw, as you can see here, Brent oil spiking to over the $115 per barrel mark. That's had a knock-on effect to several stocks that we cover. So a lot of the airline stocks have come under significant pressure as obviously their cost margins are being squeezed. But one we actually do like at the moment for a potential bounce back buy story is Royce. We've had a buy recommendation out on that for a while. As you can see, they've come back from around about the £12.50 mark to £11.26. There's a few other ideas that our research department have been publishing, GKN. So please feel free to speak to your brokers about just thoughts on the rise in oil. Just looking forward ahead to next week, we have got the US non-farm payrolls on Friday. The expectations there, I think, were, 175,000. It'll be interesting to see. We've then got the Fed Reserve minutes on the 19th of September, so it's the last payrolls before we could start to see stimulus being removed by Bernanke, as has been widely speculated in the press of late. So on the corporate side, there's nothing of huge note, and as I say, the main event is the non-farm payrolls at the end of next week. The US is closed today as well, so it's a short week from that perspective. But yeah, as I say, please give your brokers a call for further ideas on that oil price move.